unapologetic, unadulterated, and uncompromising. This is the BlackChannel.net Radio. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And I'd like to thank you all for joining us here this evening as we enter the realm of intelligent black thought. And you need this, you require this at this time in your existence, now more than ever. This is the BlackChannel.net Radio. Brothers and sisters, you see what the issue is that you didn't know you were at war. You didn't know that a fight was being waged against you because your parents, your grandparents were cowering in fear. And because of that, they refused to prepare you because they had a strategy of appeasement. Their strategy of appeasement was very simple. To feed the lions their foot, to feed the lions their shin, to have 5 children and then feed the lions one of the children, with the expectation that if I feed the lion my foot, he'll get full and be happy with just a foot, and he won't want to devour the rest of me. That was the rationale that they had. That if we do it like that, that will be the case. That if we give up just a little bit here, then that will be the case. And what are we finding out? What are we finding out? What we're finding out now is that is not the case. You are in the middle of what Dr. John Henry Clarke stated, predicted, and foretold when it was happening, while it was happening, that there has been a 1,000-year-old world war against the place and the right to exist of African peoples. This is about nothing short than whether or not we will survive as a people, whether we will be exterminated. And this microphone, 5 years ago, we led you down. I got a broadcast that I had up. The steps to Nazi Germany. You see, what first begins to happen is first the people murmur against you. There's murmuring, there's whispering. They may smile at you, but you know that there's murmuring behind your back. Some of the murmuring might be a little more outright. Next, they're no longer murmuring against you, they're talking against you. They're talking against you outright. They're speaking against you in the streets. They're talking to one another. They're making it known that they're not with you. They're not with you. Next, the media begins to echo what the media has a choice to make. The media has the choice, 3 choices: to be on your side, to be on their side, or to be neutral. Those are the 3 choices that the media has. Those are the 3 positions that the media can take. And the media makes a choice. The media makes the choice that you are the enemy. And so what they do is they inject the propaganda. They introduce the propaganda. They begin to create and popularize, jingoize all of the things that people can consume on a daily basis to cultivate and engender their hatred of you. To begin the process of incubating it at a mass level. They come up with catchphrases that they can use, ways of calling you Jews, ways of calling you nigger without actually using the word, but everybody knows. They call them dog whistles. A dog whistle is a device that you use that you are trying to speak to a specific species, and you want to speak to them. And even though everybody around you can see that you're talking and can see that you're trying to communicate, they don't get it, but your intended audience gets it. So when you hear the phrase dog whistle, Chris Matthews of MSNBC likes to use that phrase all the time. That's what it means. That means that it's something that is unlike most forms of communication. Most forms of mass communication are intended to speak to everybody listening. A dog whistle is something that is intended to be sent out over mass media, but it's only meant to be properly interpreted by a select portion of the audience that will be listening. Here at the Black Channel, we call them code words. These are code words, code phrases. They're speaking in code. When you hear them talk about the bankers, Jews know who you're talking about. And in America, when they talk about the thugs, but there's only one group of people. When they use the word thug, they're only referring to one group of people. This has nothing to do with what they told you it was about. It has nothing to do with why you were arrested. It has nothing to do with why you were suspended from the NFL. It has nothing to do with that. O.J. Simpson, they say let the process work. Let the process work. Well, the process worked. O.J. Simpson was acquitted. And nothing changed. The way that they were talking about us and to us, nothing changed. It was not about OJ. It was not about what he was accused of. It was about getting us. It always has been. So the media comes in and begins to use the national medium of mass communication to target your group. They have now picked up the rumors. They have now picked up the murmuring. And the murmuring graduates to chatter. And the chatter graduates to mass media. After the mass media, next the politicians. Now that's where things start to get dangerous. Because next thing you know, the politicians start doing things. They start curving the laws. They start selectively executing the laws. They start targeting your group physically now. When they start jailing you, you've been targeted physically. You've been now physically targeted. They start making up laws, mandatory minimum laws. They start ramping up the police presence in your part of town. They start looking at all the things that your group does and they start to criminalize them. Everything that your group does, they begin criminalizing it. They begin stationing the police outside of your synagogues, outside of your mosques, outside of your churches. Not outside of theirs, but outside of yours. They start targeting dress codes. Do you know that they targeted the way the Jews dressed in Germany? You didn't know that, did you? Go look it up. Go look it up! And then come back and tell me that I'm lying. They start targeting your hairstyles. They start targeting everything that you do. As black people, we can't wear the same hairstyles that white people do. So then they start making your hair a criminal offense. Go and buy all these chemicals to put on your hair, otherwise we'll put you out of school. Because the dress code says that you have to wear your hair like us, or we will target you. You must wear your hair like us. So even if they haven't killed your body, they've killed your spirit. That you no longer identify with what you are. And lastly comes the full push to exterminate you. Lastly, they finally start taking physical action in the streets against you. They finally start rising up. No more playing around. No more code words. No more code speak. No more propaganda. No more dog whistles. They finally begin to say exactly what they mean. Because you see, Nixon's hatchet man, his assistant Haldeman, when he said the problem really is the blacks, and the goal is to devise a system that recognizes this while appearing not to. The thing is, that's just the early stages. That's what you do in the early stages. In the earlier stages, you devise a system that targets your enemies, but you have to do it in a roundabout way. And a system like that is only minimally effective. You'll be able to clear some wood, you'll be able to clear some land, but it's not going to be wholesale effective. Eventually, you have to turn and flip the switch and move over to saying the problem really is the blacks, and now the system needs to target the problem, not while appearing not to. The system needs to target the problem in plain sight. The goal is no longer to target them while appearing not to. The goal is to target them with a minimum of resistance to our targeting them. And I am telling you all, brothers and sisters from around the world, that we have moved into the microcosm of that hybrid phase between steps 3 and 4, the media to the politicians. Because first it begins as murmuring, then it graduates to chatter, to slurs, to names. Then it graduates to propaganda. Then it graduates to laws. And finally, it ends at extermination and extinction. And we are in that nexus between the two, propaganda and law. We actually started hitting the propaganda and law actually in the reverse order. The law started targeting us first, then the media, which has always been against us, has been chipping away around the edges. But now they're moving away from that altogether. Because you see, black folk might not be all on the same page, but you damn well better believe white supremacy is. For those of you who are not a part of my Facebook group, why not? Why not? I'm going to post a picture here. I'm going to post a picture. And you all will be able to take a look at it here. And you'll be able to see for yourselves. And I'm going to wonder how many of you are going to be able to make this out. going to be able to tell exactly what's wrong here. Let me see if I can try that real quick here. Let's see what is going on here. Oh, that's helpful. Okay. Alright, well, let me get that taken care of here. Okay, things might mess up here for just a moment. That's okay. I'm still with you here. I'm just waiting for it to change over. It's going to be hard for you here for just a moment. But if you're not a member of my Facebook group, the official Jason Black group, I want for you all to take a look at that. Okay. I want you all to take a look at it. And I posted a picture. Now, for those of you who'll be listening later, I posted a picture. It was a picture of something that I saw earlier today while I was researching. Because I wanted to get facts on this. I didn't want to guess my way through it. I wanted to get facts on it. And you all will have the facts tonight. I posted a picture of Natalee Holloway. Natalee Holloway was 18 years old. Natalee Holloway was female. Natalee Holloway had gone out with some people, one of which she didn't know at all. It was a fella that she had just met that night. Natalee Holloway went out with a fella in Aruba, nowhere near her parents, out in the middle of nowhere, nowhere near her parents. Natalee Holloway was a teenager. Natalee Holloway was a girl. Natalee Holloway was a girl who had been drinking. Natalee Holloway was a girl who met a guy she didn't know while she had been drinking. Natalee Holloway was a female who met a guy she didn't know while she was drinking. Natalee Holloway got into the car of a guy she didn't know after she had been drinking. Natalee Holloway was a female who got into the car of a guy she didn't know while she had been out drinking. Natalee Holloway was dead very soon thereafter. And the man that she was last seen with, Vandersloot, never convicted for it, never tried for it. Shortly thereafter, Vandersloot is arrested and convicted for killing another female. But I want to go back to Natalee Holloway because I posted up these pictures and I posted up these screenshots from these articles. These are not just pictures of her, they are screenshots from articles. That's what they are. And I posted them up because I wanted you to read the copy on them. I wanted you to read the copy on them. I wanted you to read what it said. I wanted you to read what they say about her. I wanted you to read what they are saying about her. I want you to read the way that they worded it. And I wanted to ask you one question here. There's a word that is missing. There is a word that is missing when they speak about Natalee Holloway. That word is woman. They do not, and they never have referred to Natalee Holloway as a woman. She was 18 years old. She was out on her own. She was drinking. She was partying. She was meeting people for intimate activity. But they never referred to her as a woman. They consistently, even now that it's been going on a decade since she disappeared and is dead, they refer to her every time in every place as a teenager. And to this day, she is referred to as the teenager. The teenager. The teenager from Alabama. The teenager. She was 18 years old, and they referred to her as a teenager. Michael Brown was a male. Michael Brown was an 18-year-old male. Michael Brown was an 18-year-old male who was out walking the streets with a friend of his one day. Michael Brown was an 18-year-old male who had been walking the streets with a friend of his one day when he was stopped by a man who murdered him, similar to the way that Natalee Holloway was murdered. But there's one difference. The media does not refer to Michael Brown and give him the same deference that they did Natalee Holloway. They refer to him as an 18-year-old man. Natalee Holloway is referred to as a girl. Read these articles. They refer to her as a girl. They refer to her as a teen. They refer to her as a teenager. They do not ever, not even once, do they ever refer to her as an 18-year-old woman or a woman at all. They never refer to her as an adult. They constantly refer to her as a teenager. Natalee Holloway was the exact same thing that Michael Brown was, but there was only one difference between Natalee Holloway and Michael Brown, and the difference is that one of them was white and the other one was black, and to be totally honest, there truly is no difference after that. And that is what I want you to understand. I want you to understand that the only difference between these two was that she was white and he was black. And the media wanted to convict Vandersloot, which is why they referred to his victim as a teenage girl. But the media wishes to protect Darren Wilson, so they keep referring to Michael Brown, a teenager, as a man. Now, in case you think that this is not ethnic based, in case you think that this is not hate, in case you think that this has nothing to do with being black, in case you think that, well, TBA is just a slip up there, you know, hey, you can't, he was 18 years old. I mean, you're reading, they refer to females as girls all the time. It's a way to make them feel like they're not getting older even though they are. So you're making too much of it there. Trayvon Martin was 17 years old. And all of the hate mongers and right-wing hate bigots were referring to 17-year-old Trayvon Martin as a 17-year-old man. And they said the same, they started saying the same things about Jordan Russell Davis. Oh, we're not going to let you off the hook for it. Mark Levin and the rest of you, no, we're not going to let you go. They referred to him as a 17-year-old man too. You see, by saying that you're a 17-year-old man, they're saying have no sympathy. These are not children. These are saying 18-year-old man and 17-year-old man. That should be hate speech. That should be hate speech for someone to say that. That should be considered hate speech. And I consider it hate speech here. Because that's code language for, well, if we say he's a man, then it's authorized to murder him. It doesn't matter if he's murdered because he's a man. He's black, so he's a man. And understand, this only applies to black men. This only applies to black males. This only applies to black children. Only black children. Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris, the Columbine killers, have never been referred to in the national media as men. They never once called them men. Dylan Klebold was 17 years old. Eric Harris was 18. Is this thing on? Dylan Klebold was 17 years old. Eric Harris, Dylan Klebold was 17 years old, 5 months shy of being 18, by the way. 5 months shy. He was closer to being 18 than he was to being 16. Five months shy of being 18 years old. His running buddy was 18 years old. And they marched into a school and gunned down dozens. And the media from that day to this day has never referred to the two of them as 17-year-old man or 18-year-old man. They didn't do it then, and they didn't do it now, and they're not gonna do it tomorrow. Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown are 17-year-old men, 18-year-old men. Klebold and Harris are 17 and 18-year-olds. They don't even subscribe a gender to them. Just they don't subscribe a gender because if you read the stories about Klebold and Harris, by the way, if you'll read the stories about them in Time and People, they simply refer to them as an age. They stay away from gender altogether. They never use a sentence where they try to identify their gender because they know to say that sounds awkward to say males. We can look at their pictures and their names and see that they are obviously males. They know that you have to make the call between saying teenager and saying man. And even for two psychotic serial killers, they closed ranks. Oh, those are not enough examples for you, Elliot Rodger. Oh, no, I'm not gonna let it off the hook. Elliot Rodger, 22 years old Elliot Rodger was when he went on his mass gunman spree. 22 years old. Keep looking. You have to look far, wide, and deep to find a story that refers to Elliot Rodger as a 22-year-old man. They talk about him like he is a child. They talk about him like he's a high school student. They talk about him like he's a middle school student. They talk about him in infantile, juvenile terms. They do not speak about him as what he was, a grown man. They do not speak about him in those terms. They do not. They refer to him as a grown man. They refer to him as anything but a grown man. Anything but. Not enough for you? University of Virginia. This is just this year. Just this year. 18-year-old student Hannah Graham. And in her case, they keep referring to her as a girl. Missing girls. 18-year-old girl. Missing girl. Missing girl. Not missing woman. Not missing college student. Missing girl. Missing girl. 18-year-old missing girl. And who is their primary suspect in her abduction? A black male. Do you know what they did not do? Did you know what they have not done with Hannah Graham? They have not done with Hannah Graham what they did with Mike Brown and Trayvon Martin. They have not put the victim on trial. They didn't do to her what they do to black males. Jordan Russell Davis was a clean record, and yet the newspapers in America wanted to see his juvenile record. Oh, we want to see his juvenile record. Brothers and sisters, did they ever ask to see the juvenile records? Did they ever file lawsuits to get the juvenile records of Natalie Holloway? I ask you, can somebody show me the article or the news agency that filed to get the juvenile records of Natalie Holloway? Can we get her medical records to find out if she ever had any STDs? How many people did she sleep with? Was this just the way she got down? That she would just go to places, meet dudes, drink up, and then go jump in the car with them? Did they ever file a lawsuit to find this out? Has she ever been arrested in the backseat of a car somewhere? Has she ever had an abortion? We don't know these things, and the national media isn't filing lawsuits to find that out, but they did file lawsuits to find out about Trayvon Martin, Jordan Russell Davis, and Michael Brown. So what I want to know is, do we know Hannah Graham's criminal record? I want to know what was her criminal record. And why is it that the national white media is not asking about that the way for this 18-year-old white girl, the way that they have for these 18-year-old black males? Why is it they're not asking the same questions? Brothers and sisters, I just ran down a whole damn list for you. I just ran down a whole damn list, and all you can say, white supremacists, is you know. I would just feel a lot better about it if the white supremacists would just at least have the courage of Maddie Clyburn Rice, the black white supremacist I talked about last night. I would feel better if white supremacy at least had the courage of her to just come out and say that, you know, killing niggers is what we do! Who cares? We're here to kill you people! Another one dead. That's the damn goal. I would feel a lot better and have a lot more respect for the Fox Noise and the Bill O'Reillys and the Sean Hannitys. Sean Hannity, who carouses with white supremacists. Ain't that right, Hal Turner? I'd have a lot more respect for these people if they just came out and said it like that. Stop playing the damn games. Stop sitting up here pretending. Stop pretending and just come on right out with it. I'd feel a lot better if they did. That would get a lot more respect from me. That would get a lot more respect in my eyes if they did that. If they just came out and said killing you people is what we've always done and it's what we do, that would get more respect from me. And what I'm telling you is that slowly but surely they're migrating there. Slowly but surely they're migrating there. White supremacy was at its deadliest when they were the numerical minority. And I'm telling you that as that begins to reemerge, white supremacy is going to rise back to the same levels. It's leveling back out again. That it's just okay. We just have a right to kill you. We just have a right to kill you. They're on TV giving the thumbs up. Like they just won a football game. They've murmured against you. They chatter against you on their right-wing hate radio. They chatter against you on their cable television and their newspapers. They propagandize against you in their media. And now the politicians have the laws in place. But you want to do the Smyrna dance. And you want to twerk on YouTube. See, you got time for that. While these people are out here gunning you down left and right. You got time to do that, though. They know that they are at war. You don't know that they are at war with you. And that's why their reaction is what it is, and your reaction is what it isn't. Brothers and sisters, plain and simply put, the propaganda is already in place. They already in their hearts trust and believe that it is okay to kill you. They're already of one accord and on the same page. In the white supremacist faction of society, they are already on the same page that it is okay to do this. But they have to have these national jaunts. They have to have these national shocks. Where they make it clear to you that they're on the war path and they're out to get you. That's what it's all about, is being on the war path and out to get you. So what they're doing right now is blowing a national dog whistle. They are preparing the national code word. Not preparing. They are rolling out and executing the national code words so that everybody can get on the same page. So that even the people who are on the fence about it, that they've been uncomfortable about you and want something to be done, but they don't know if they want you murdered, they're giving all the psychological reassurances that those people need to sign off on your death. When the police are racially profiling, it's the bad part of town. The police shot you unarmed, find his criminal record. If he doesn't have a criminal record, he was resisting. If he wasn't resisting, well, I'm sure it was a mistake. You did not see white society up in arms about Oscar Grant. They were not beating down the doors about Oscar Grant. That was on video. There is no mistake about that. And they still said that it was his fault for being killed. They gunned down your children. They say they weren't children, they were men. He was 17 years old. He's a 17-year-old man. What the hell kind of psychological flip-flop are you trying to pull off here? Well, if you have a certain stature, that makes you a man. Have a white child with the exact same stature, he's a kid. For whites, we go off of their age. For blacks, we go off of however we need to mutate it to define you however we want. Understand, you are a sick bastard if you look at a 17-year-old and say that that's a man. You are a sick bastard. And the reason that you want to say he's a man is because you want to say it's okay to kill him. You want to say he's a man because what you really want to say is it's okay to kill him. You are a sick, sociopathic, son of a dog bastard. And the earth is better off without your kind. Brothers and sisters, there are a lot of people in the dominant society hurting themselves, beating down the doors, bum rushing the door to compete to see who can inherit Hitler's mantle. And in the national media, they are out there. It's a free-for-all, bench-clearing brawl between them. To find out which one of them can popularize code words that sanction the murder of black people first. They're fighting with each other to see who can create the most catchy phrase that will resonate and populate with the most people to condone being able to kill us. No, you don't have to believe you're at war. You don't have to believe that. Just go back to what you were doing until they come for you or your 15-year-old man when they gun your son down and say he was a 14-year-old man, a 15-year-old man. You see, I dug up the records. The Black Channel dug up the records of Jay Knowles. We dug up the records of the Ferguson City Council. The national news media did not do that. The Black Channel did. You see, I got their records, but the national media did not echo what I talked about. I debunked the Marissa Alexander hoax that was trying to cloud the issue of George Zimmerman. I debunked that here. We talked to Rico Gray here. The national media knew about it. CNN knew about it. Big time officials knew about it. Executives knew about our interview. They refused to tell the truth about it. This is not about the truth. This is about slandering you and lying as far as they can and taking the lie as far as they can before the truth is finally exposed. And by then, people have to overcome the lie to even understand what the truth is now. That's the goal. That's how it's done. Everything that they have is moving for war against you. And the first thing that they have to do is make it acceptable in society to kill you. To overcome people's natural, moralistic resistance to the murder of a child. And that it's okay to murder children. And what they found is that, well, if we say that they were not children, if we say that they were men, then that will be enough that these other folk will be, who are on the fence, will be able to sleep at night with what happened. If we say that they were men and not children, how the hell are we going to get away with that? They were 17 years old. Just say it's because they were big. But they weren't big. They were average size for a teenager. Just say they were big anyway, damn it. Say they were big anyway, damn it. Shut the hell up. Better yet, you're fired. Jim, 17-year-old man. 17-year-old man, sir. Bill O'Reilly sat there on his show, and during the 2008 presidential election with John McCain, you can go look it up on YouTube. It's right there. And he stated that what Barack Obama and the liberal Democrats were trying to do was to change the, quote, historic white male culture of America. The historic white Christian male culture of America. Now, if that's not a race warrior, what the hell is? Oh, but you are in denial of that. You want to tell yourself that what he said was not a declaration of war and was not as bad as it was because you are looking for any excuse, any rock you can slither behind or crawl under for the purposes of not even sticking up for your own survival. They will flip over and overturn the entire dictionary if that is the price of getting you. They are going to create a brand new dictionary for the purposes of getting you. That is just how deep this goes. That's just how far it goes. The national media is on the march against us, and their goal now is very clear. Total annihilation and extermination of black people, starting with the children. If we can kill the children, if we can get away with making it acceptable to kill the children, we can get all of them. And that is why the national media does not even refer to Aiyana Jones as a 6-year-old girl. They never talk about that little child as a girl. They never call her a child. They just say her age and keep moving. JonBenet Ramsey, they said she was a girl. She was a child. Polly Klaas, she was a girl. She was a child. Aiyana Jones, 7 years old. Keep it pushing. And you don't want to accept that when they treat you like that, that was an act of war. That was a code word for saying it is acceptable and permissible to kill you people. My 17-year-old teenage son was killed. A 17-year-old adult was shot dead for being a robbery suspect in Ferguson. What? That was an act of war, people. That was an act of war. When they say 17-year-old man, when they say 18-year-old man, what they are saying is kill the nigger. That is code speak for kill him. That's code speak. The people who speak like that, that is what they really mean. What they really mean is kill the nigger. So the question is, what do we do about it? Over the summer, the world was rocked on its heels when Hidden Colors 3 came out. It was a national salvo. And this time we want to prepare a tour de force like nothing they've ever seen. In the coming weeks, brothers and sisters, I will give you the release date for 7 a.m. But there's something more that I want now for 7 a.m. from all of you. Because it's time for us to fight back. They've been going at us. Now it's time for us to take the fight to them. There are 10 major markets in the United States of America. For radio and television, there are the 7 major markets, which kind of flip-flop depending on where you are. I want people, representatives in each of those major markets. New York, DC, LA, Dallas, St. Louis, Houston, Miami, Philadelphia, Detroit, Chicago. And in and out, you can flip-flop Miami to Atlanta. I want people in those major markets, and I want us to, if you have a theater that you want 7 a.m. to play at, and you live in a major market, what I want you to do is get off your ass, get in touch with them, find out what their seating capacity is, and find out what they want to know to book it. And I want us to go to as many places as possible. We've spoken to people here, but this is a nationwide thing. And I want everybody, if you want 7 a.m. to play where you are, get in touch with them, find out what they want, and find out what their seating capacity is, and let's make it happen. Because I have gone back. If you want to know what this is about, when 7 a.m. comes out, it will reference Ferguson. We will talk about Ferguson in 7 a.m. We will discuss Ferguson in 7 a.m. and put it in its proper context of white supremacy and black empowerment. That's right. We will be discussing Ferguson in 7 a.m. So I'm just over here cutting and editing away as fast as I can. And that is what will hit the big screen. But we want you to help us hit the big screen. And let's take the fight to them, because they've got a national media infrastructure in place where they can sit here and demonize us and lie about us. And outright just attack us and lie about us. It is time for us to respond. And that means we have to have our own media in place there. My email address is theblackauthority@yahoo.com. You can get in touch with me there. Do not send me emails talking about my uncle is the usher and the janitor at Regal Cinema. I'll see if I can get him. I don't want to hear about what you're going to see about. Contact me after you have already talked to them. Don't tell me what you're gonna do. White supremacy doesn't talk about what it's gonna do. You find out what white supremacy had in mind for you when they've done it. And it's time for us to turn the tables. So for everybody listening in the sound of my voice, both live and recorded later, this is the time. I want 7 a.m. to play in every major market in America, because I want to be able to get advertising time and pay for advertising time in every major market in America. I want you all to be able to look up during prime time, and we can tell them the real scandal is why we are the poorest people in the world. The real scandal isn't an affair at the White House. The real scandal is, why are we the poorest people in America? I want that to play during prime time. I want to play a commercial that says touchdowns don't matter if you don't have dollars. I want to play that during Monday Night Football. And then I want to be able to tell people where to go. So if you are listening to this broadcast, live or recorded, this week, not next week, let's get it done now. This week, now, right now. Let's get our ducks lined up. Let's know where we're going. I want us to target all those markets. Let's go after them. And if you're in a place and you wanted to play there, get in touch with these people. Find out who's got a theater where you are. Get in touch with them. Find out what you need to know and come back and tell us. Don't get left behind and don't get left out. Let's make sure this thing goes from sea to shining sea. Let's make sure we have a national wake-up call. Because I came to bring comfort to the afflicted and affliction to the comfortable. And this is the tool with which we will do it. It's time. We'll have release dates coming shortly, but I want everybody, as far as the theater front, if you've got a place you want to play in, get in touch with us. If you live in one of those major markets, New York, LA, Dallas, Houston, St. Louis, Atlanta, DC, Philadelphia, Chicago, Detroit, if you're in one of those major markets, we want to hear from you. If you have a place. If you have a place and you get the numbers, that's what we want to know. I came from Philadelphia. That is a place that needs 7 a.m. 50% black and only 3% of the wealth. They need 7 a.m. Harlem is being gentrified out of existence tonight. They need 7 a.m. I'm going to make a prediction about Harlem right now, brothers and sisters. The day is going to come within the next 5 decades that we are going to look up and the Apollo Theater is no longer black owned. If it still is. You're going to lose all of that. You're being gentrified out of existence. You need 7 a.m. The Black Channel was the place that predicted that New Orleans had seen its last black mayor. Who's the mayor of New Orleans now? We predicted it in Detroit. Who is the mayor of Detroit now? We predicted it in Houston. We predicted it everywhere. We're predicting it in Atlanta. We can go down the line. We are the only place that said that, and one by one it's come to pass. You need 7 a.m. in Atlanta. You got plenty of coons and buffoons headquartered out of Atlanta. Isn't it time for some intellect and intelligence? For a change? It's time for 7 a.m. One last thing, we're also going to be wrapping up our Black Female Fitness Challenge. If you haven't been following the Black Female Fitness Challenge, we're getting ready to give out the cash prize this week for it. If you haven't been following that, you can look up that channel on YouTube. It's called the Black Female Fitness Challenge. And we got the videos there where you can track these women's progress. And they have done a phenomenal job. It's really been fantastic. And we're going to be wrapping that up this week with the final videos. And you all get to vote. Everybody listening to me, you all get to vote for who you think is the most improved out of all of them. You definitely want to be a part of that. And the people who contributed to the grand prize, you will get an even bigger vote to choose who actually gets the grand prize. So definitely you want to be there for that. So this week, this Thursday, is when we're going to announce who wins. This Thursday is when we're going to announce who gets the grand prize. So you definitely will. I'll be doing a special broadcast Thursday so I can do that announcement. So yeah, we got a lot going on here. If you haven't been following that, this is your time to get on board. You can go to that channel. I'll be posting it on Facebook here shortly. I'll be posting it on Twitter shortly. You definitely want to be involved and get caught up on that so you can see exactly what's been happening and what you've been missing. Brothers and sisters, white supremacy is on the march. And we need as many people as possible to get up and get started. Don't wait for the Black channel. I want you all to start getting together yourselves. Make the phone calls. If you want this to play where you are, ring up the theater owner and tell him, hey, I want 7 a.m. here. What do we got to do to make that happen? There's thousands of theaters across the country just for those that film, that air independent films. Let's get this thing nationwide. Let's have a presence in every single major market. And let's put them on notice. Let's put them on notice that we know what's going on. We know what the problem is. And we know what the answer is. So I'm putting out a call to everybody. I'm putting out a call to everybody so that they will be able to see that and so that you can get involved. Let's stop complaining about what they're doing to us and let's start doing some stuff of our own. It's time for a national wake-up call. It's 7 a.m. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the BlackChannel.net radio. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, brothers and sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.